I often have this ongoing conversation with a lot of different people who ask me this question: what is my purpose? And I've really tried to think about why we ask that question. I think we ask that question for several reasons. One of the reasons that we ask that question is because everything grows. I'm born a baby and I grow into a full adult. Our kids grow, our cities grow, plants grow, trees grow, everything grows, people grow. And so when we don't seem to be growing, one of the questions that we ask ourselves is, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Why do I exist? Another reason is we live in a culture where we honor status and material possessions and power. And when we don't seem to have these things, we ask the question, what am I doing wrong? What's my purpose? Why am I here? And it doesn't seem like people who have it all are asking these kind of questions. And so we ask these questions when we seem to have nothing or things don't seem to be going our way. And I think another reason that we ask this question is because we don't have a level of certainty. A level of certainty. We all want stability and we want security. We want predictable lives. We want routines. We want things to be consistent and regular. And the problem with certainty is that it actually creates some comfort zones for us and routines. They keep us safe and they actually can prevent us from experiencing growth, from growing. As a matter of fact, the past few years, I think, have taught us a lot of things. If you think about the COVID pandemic, it's something that sociologists and economics are going to be studying for years. And it's called the Great Resignation. And what happened through the COVID pandemic is over the past couple of years, millions of people disappeared from the workforce, just flat out disappeared. Millions of people changed jobs. And it has created problems that we're still dealing with today, that are being straightened out today, like supply and demand and the workforce. Everyone seems to be hiring everywhere we go. And so the COVID pandemic really upset the fruit cart, if you will. The certainty level of everyone was absolutely destroyed. People by the masses had the opportunity to rearrange their lives, to change their lives, to reorganize their lives. And the uncertainty broke people out of their own level of comfort. And a lot of people experienced growth to go find something new, something different to do. And suddenly, during the COVID pandemic, we didn't have all these outside voices telling us what we needed to do and how to do it. We hate silence. And so suddenly we were alone by ourselves and we had to think about this stuff. All of this keeps us from our purpose. I just want to share a few thoughts with you about purpose. The best way to describe purpose, in my opinion, is by thinking about stories. We love stories. We love great stories, especially great stories. Adults love stories, kids love stories. Stories entertain us, they teach us, stories inspire us, they challenge us, they cause us to be thought-provoking. And stories help us make sense of so much in the world around us. Regardless of what the world shouts, we are a part of God's story, and that's what I want us to know, because stories help us define and define us, and stories help shape us, and the way we live are often defined by the stories we hear. And you and I, we both have roles. We all have roles. We're characters in this big story, and it's a big story that covers actually hundreds of years, and it's God's story. Not only is it God's story, it's also our story. God puts us in His story, whether or not we acknowledge it, whether or not we've been on a faith journey or not. We are a part of this story. We are living a story. Regardless of what the world shouts, we are a part of a story. And the story of God is the story of the entire world. And it's when we start asking some different questions that we can begin to see clearly what my part in the story is and what your part in the story is. And so we have to ask, what does this story tell us about God? And what does the story tell us about ourselves? You see, God, He's a great storyteller, but He isn't just a storyteller. He's the main character of the entire story. And when we begin to grasp this, we can find our part in the story, and we can participate in the story and play a role in the story that God is writing with us in it. And so maybe for the first time, maybe even as a reminder for some of us, I want you to know that there is a battle that exists, and it is about who influences my story and who influences your story. And the truth is, either God will influence your story, or someone will influence your story, or something else will influence your story. Either God will influence our desire to conform, or the voices around us will force us to conform. Either God, who gives us our desire of certainty, helps us determine our purpose. And so I want to put it this way. It can be like the difference between walking on a treadmill, or right now we're in a city park. I just heard the lawnmowers fire up. You're probably hearing it in the background. There's some seagulls, there's some ducks, there's some geese, there's people walking around a path, and we're in the great outdoors. And that's a huge difference. The park is a big difference than the treadmill is. So the difference of walking in the treadmill and walking in the park, life on the treadmill, oh man, it's predictable. Often it can be in a gym or in a room in a house, and you set it and you just go. And for a little bit, you can be incredibly mindless. It can be mundane. It can be monotonous. It's certainly safe, right? All of a sudden, I don't know about you, but when I've walked on a treadmill, I'm watching for the time just to finally be done and over. Or you seem like you're working hard and you're sweating it out and you're going the distance, but guess what? You're not going anywhere. It's like punching the air, just aimlessly. But wow, when I come into the park, like even this afternoon, during this recording, it's unpredictable. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? The leaf blowers are blowing. It's unpredictable. The geese were coming up behind us just a few moments ago. It's unpredictable. It's adventurous. You don't know for sure exactly everything that's going to happen. And so it creates some excitement. It can be dangerous. Yeah, you're in the outdoors. You're not in a locked room or in a locked gym walking on a treadmill. There's some danger. But then all of a sudden I slow down and I notice things around me. I noticed that maybe we had some wind recently because there are branches and things all over the place. You begin to notice things and pay attention to things, so it becomes more meaningful to us. Ultimately, the walk in the park is more purposeful. I don't know about you, but when I have things that are frustrating or when I start to feel a little bit anxious about something, you know what I want to do? The last thing I want to do is go get on a treadmill. But what I will do is I'll go for a walk. Even around the church building sometimes, if I've just dealt with a bunch of stuff or had a bunch of conversations, sometimes I just think, I need a break. And what do? I get up from my desk, or I get up from the conference table, or I get up from the conversation I just had, and I go for a walk. And guess what? I see what's unpredictable. I say it's adventurous, it's exciting. It causes me to slow down and take in some fresh air amidst the day. And so I don't know what you believe about the purpose or the meaning of life, but I want you to know for sure that every one of us has been created in the image of God. Every one of us. And I believe that we have been created with purpose and passion and intentionality. God created us with this in mind. And so I believe what King David says in Psalm 139. He says this, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb, and I praise you, and I am fearfully and I am wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it well." And so today, if I can encourage you, I want you just to know that you are a created being in the image of God. You've been created, knitted together with purpose, passion, and intentionality. And I'm so excited that you're going to join us for the next 5 weeks in this journey where we look at some different aspects of the reason we were created, the reason we were born, what this passion and this intentionality is all about. And so thanks for joining us on this journey.